The ban on use of single-use plastics came into effect across India from 1st July 2022 to fight climate change. This will include ban on manufacture, circulation and sale of 21 types of plastic items. To discuss this, the outlook going forward and a lot more, we are now joined by Riya Mazumdar-Singhal, who is the founder and CEO at Ecoware, to discuss this big change that has been announced. Ecoware is a company that converts common crop waste into sustainable alternatives to single-use plastics. Riya, a big thank you for joining us on this edition of Climate Clock.
Thank you, Sonal. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, you are an industry veteran, the things that you've done, and you've been a first mover as well in this particular field where you are converting or you are basically manufacturing something which is an alternative to single-use plastic. Since the time this has been announced, it's been around 15 days. Do you think there has been a sizable shift in usage of single-use plastics, or do you think it'll be a big hurdle and industry will find it very difficult to move to other sources?
So, Sonal, that's a great question. I think that, like you said, it's been 2 weeks. It's a massive paradigm shift for the nation. We are, over 1.4 billion people. But the good thing is that the ban is in place. Time is up to use single-use plastic, and we really need to start thinking of better, healthier alternatives for people and planet. We are seeing a shift in usage for sure, but I think that we need a lot more education and awareness, because when a consumer or an individual understands why they are not using single-use plastic or why they should not be making single-use plastic, that is a permanent choice versus a ban that's being forced down somebody. So I feel that education and awareness is imperative, and I think that's something that we need to really work on as a nation. And I think that the consistent force, we need to enforce this ban and implement the action plan and make sure that we don't lose focus. I went to an exhibition at Pragati Maidan, which was on sustainable packaging, but unfortunately some plastic products that have been banned were still very much visible. So I think that there's certainly a lot more work to be done. Like we said, we're only 2 weeks in. And I think with large industries, I don't think it's difficult. We have great entrepreneurs, we have fantastic SMEs on the ground, such as Ecoware, that have scalable solutions. So it's about working with us, collaborating and incorporating us into their supply chain to help them make this shift possible.
Oh, yes. So that's what I was going to say. We have great entrepreneurs like yourself. In fact, Ecoware has been an early mover when it comes to, disposable packaging. You spoke about collaboration. You spoke about big industries getting more into it, expanding capacities. Are you seeing increased demand for disposable products? And if yes, are you looking at more collaborations? Have there been any conversations? And what does it mean for Ecoware as a whole?
Certainly. So look, at Ecoware, our guiding principle was obviously to create a product that was safe for people and planet, right? We use 100% bagasse. We, through a thermoforming process, convert it to a product that is naturally biodegradable and compostable. Very simply, what that means is that if you have access to a soil pit, you put it in soil, cover it, it breaks down naturally in a period of 90 days. So it doesn't rely on any sort of waste segregation and waste management that still remains a challenge in the country. We've certainly seen a lot more awareness happen over the last few years, and even with the ban, we're having we're certainly having a lot more conversations with different industry players. Our focus predominantly over the last 10, 12 years has been F&B, but now we're looking at working with the medical industry, the e-commerce industry, FMCG, sustainable fashion, to see how much of their plastic footprint we can also help reduce. COVID is another reason people are using more disposables. We've seen that in the last 2 years that people equate single-use to hygiene, and we don't want them using plastic when there are better alternatives available. Also, when you look at manufacturing and COVID and how that's and the impact that that's had, so we're seeing the world want to de-risk from China. And we're definitely doing a lot more collaborations with global partners as well across the world. So we are now not just present across the country, from Kashmir all the way down to Kerala, but in 16 countries globally as well.
Okay, that is very interesting. I was going through your website, reading some of the press releases and a lot more data, and one of it caught my eye. You said that Ecoware creates $2.41 of ESG impact for every $1 invested by the company. Can you explain this to me?
Thanks, Sonal. So I think when I started out this journey, being a purpose-driven organization was very important. So we had to show that purpose, profit, and sustainability were hand in hand, right? Basically. So we've created threefold impact. One is that from an environmental perspective, we have displaced over 1 billion pieces of single-use plastic in our 13-year journey. We have 100% of our revenues derived from a circular economy model. From a social perspective, we created an industry that never existed before. We've created employment, direct, indirect, and I'm really proud to say that 30% of our team are women. And from a health perspective, you've just got fewer people using plastic and less of it in the environment. So that figure basically just reflects the impact across these three sectors that we create.
Okay, that is interesting. So, that takes me to the next point. One of the reasons why people are so used to using plastic also is cost. Why is it getting more difficult to get greener and sustainable alternatives to plastic at a lower cost? Of course, we've been talking about how we have to pay more to, say, get a disposable packaging. Will you work on this since we are already dealing with issues of high inflation?
Sure. So, let me give you the honest story. I mean, when we started our journey in 2009, the cost difference between EcoWare and a good quality plastic, so typical black, plastic tray or bowl, etc., that you get on your Zomato Swiggy delivery, the cost differential was about 3x, right? With economies of scale, now we've brought that down to 10, 12%. We have been able to partner with the IRCTC, which is the Indian Railways, that supplied food to the Indian Railways, with the likes of Haldiram, Subway, Cinnabon, and really kind of penetrate markets across the country. And we, like I said, the economies of scale have helped bring down the cost differential. And as we scale, we will see that differential come down even further. So, and to be honest, cost now is no longer a conversation we're having with customers. It's more about, can you customize? Can you make this shape and size? How quickly can you get this to us? And those are the conversations that we're really having now.
That is extremely interesting. From 3 times, it's just higher by 10 to 12%. So definitely economies of scale and more demand for disposable or eco-friendly products is something that is leading to this change. So Ria, before I let you go, I have to ask you, you did say that, of course, a lot needs to be done to make sure that there is effective plastic ban in the country. Apart from educating people, creating more awareness, do you think government needs to bring in more steps or what more needs to be done to ensure that there is more awareness here?
So I think, look, I'm always an advocate for education and awareness. Like I said, we are over 1.4 billion people, right? There's a lot of us. So I think education and awareness is really important. When I started my journey, none of my stakeholders understood what biodegradable meant, what compostable meant. So as a consumer, do you know what, when you look at a veg, non-veg meal, it's really simple, right? You have a green sticker and a red sticker. When you look at an eco-friendly product, do you know what you're looking for to know that the product's actually eco-friendly and genuine and a genuine solution? So I think that's really important. We need to make sure that we've got solid standards. We've got labeling that everyone is the common man is able to understand. I think the government can help from a GST perspective as well. Currently, we are exposed to a 12% GST. And if we are able to bring that down and make the product more affordable, it just means that more people would be using it. So that's something that we could really use support on as well.
Oh, interesting points out there. And Ria, of course, the awareness is less, but it's great, and congratulations to you, because entrepreneurs like you who have actually started early to ensure that people talk about sustainability and actually use sustainable means of living their daily lives. So thanks a lot for that, and thank you so much for joining us today on this edition of Climate Clock.
Thank you, Sonal. It was great to be here.
All right, that's all we have on Climate Clock today. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned to CNBC TV 18 for more updates on climate and sustainability.